Star Wars, everyone loves it, right? Except for the prequels. Or Return of the Jedi. Or the hokey writing of New Hope. Or Rogue One if you really think. Okay, maybe not everybody loves Star Wars, but a lot of people like the originals and herald them as some of the best movies ever made. But, well, here's where I've always come from. See, when I was a little kid, I used to tell my mom that I actually liked the prequels more than the originals. And then I disagreed with myself and called myself an idiot because watching back, yes, the prequels are... Well, that's where I started to think more and more. I've had about, 7 years to really think about the prequels and how bad they really are, or how not bad they are in my personal opinion. Now, you see, I watch Star Wars, religiously. I just saw Rogue One a couple days ago, and I really loved it. I think it's one of my favorite Star Wars movies of all time. And I actually almost think it's my favorite, but everyone's telling me that it's a bad movie, or it's not nearly as good as The Force Awakens, or it's not bad as the other ones. And I like Rogue One a lot because I feel like there's a lot more weight to the characters. Yeah, sure, the characters aren't really that interesting, but there's a lot more weight behind them. The fact that everyone dies in the end, and it's so sad. I don't know, maybe I'm just a weird psychopath, but I actually like when when a movie leaves you feeling hollow and empty. That's what I love about The Dark Knight, okay? There's actually weight to the characters and setting, and everyone fucking dies, and it's glorious. I loved Kay. I loved all the characters, and I love the action. The climax was just so amazing. The Darth Vader stuff, and it was really, really interesting. I even like the CGI. Everyone says that, Tarkin, I think is his name, has, his lips aren't moving correctly, but I thought it was fine. And Carrie Fisher as Leia looked pretty good. I don't agree with this Alter Critics review when he's like, it gets worse as you watch it. But I'm like, I thought that it was okay. I mean, she wasn't even on the screen that long enough for me to even really care, so... I liked Rogue One. I'm just going to say it up front. I really thought Rogue One was a great Star Wars movie. I think that Force Awakens had a lot of problems, but I think that it is still a really great movie, and I definitely recommend you watch it. I'm not a big fan of the climax because I feel like that Finn should have been the one to fight Kylo Ren and not Rey because... Okay, you gotta think about this. Besides one interaction between Kylo Ren and Rey, why should they be the one who fight in the end? They have nothing against each other. Finn, on the other hand, has basically been put into slavery and by Kylo Ren, has been treated like shit, had his family taken away from him by Kylo Ren, was a slave for the Empire and turned into a stormtrooper where he was pretty much tortured every single day by Kylo Ren. No, he just gets thrown to the side and knocked out. Okay, sure, he's fine. He gets a little bit of time to fight Kylo Ren, and I will admit, seeing somebody who's not a Jedi use lightsabers, with the exception of, Grievous, is pretty freaking awesome, but it just really, it really saddens me that Finn, who has way more and I get it, there's 2 more movies coming along. I just really hope that Finn is the one that takes down Kylo Ren, because he deserves it. Rey doesn't. Rey has, I'm sorry, you got mentally tortured for 5 minutes? Try your entire fucking life. But I lived on a desert and I didn't have a family. You know what, I've said enough. You get my point. Let's talk about the originals now, since we're apparently moving from the most recent backwards. I didn't even do that intentionally. Okay, Return of the Jedi is not a film that I like. Ugh, I don't like it. I watched it, and you know what? I'm gonna say it right now. The Ewoks are not even bad for the reason that people say they're bad. Oh yeah, they're bad for that reason too. They're bad because there's these cute, cuddly creatures that were only invented to sell toys. You ever really looked at the Ewoks? Aren't they just a tiny bit, racist in, at least 3 different ways? I mean, they're clearly caricatures of, African tribes. They're savages who dress like Native Americans did when colonists came along. They're treated like savages who just kill people, and yet they're supposed to be cute and adorable. That's another thing. There's such a contrast. They murder people, but yet we're supposed to find them cute and adorable and buy their plush toy. Isn't there just a little bit backwards there? But whatever. Return of the Jedi has so many other problems besides that. The fact that it was originally supposed to have Luke turn to the dark side, which there's so many signs, he straight up strangles 2 guys with the Force while wearing a dark hood over his head, all Sith-styled, and yet he's supposed to be the hero. I'm not a big fan of Luke after Return of the Jedi. Okay, let's not talk about Return of the Jedi, because it was actually supposed to be called Revenge of the Sith, which is what the prequel movie ended up being called. But I'm serious. Or no, wait, no, it wasn't. It was Revenge of the Jedi. But it was Revenge of the Sith what Return of the Jedi was supposed to be. And that's why whenever I'm talking about Star Wars with people and they ask me what some of my favorite movies are, I will say I really like Revenge of the Sith because I think that it personally it wasn't everything that Revenge of the Jedi was supposed to be, but it filled in a lot of the gaps. I'm just going to say that. Okay, Empire Strikes Back. Still one of my favorite movies. I've seen it like 5 different times. I still think that Empire Strikes Back is one of the best Star Wars movies ever made. I mean, it's well written. It's got great action sequences. It's just so cool. It's just a great movie with the whole, I am your father thing. It's awesome. Okay, New Hope. New Hope is one of those that's like, okay, I hate Return of the Jedi. I love Empire Strikes Back. I am completely indifferent to A New Hope. Although actually really watching it, I think that A New Hope was supposed to be like the end. Like I don't think that, okay, I get that with every single movie trilogy. It was never supposed to be a trilogy because if you really look at A New Hope, everything just kind of wraps up nicely. Besides the fact that Darth Vader's still alive, that's it. Everything wraps up too well. Like why is the Death Star even destroyed in the first movie? That's always bothered me. It's like there's no loose ends to tie up except for the fact that Darth Vader's still alive. That's the one loose end. But no, the Obi-Wan's killed and makes Luke stronger. The Death Star is destroyed. The Empire is scattered. They could have ended with A New Hope and it would have been perfectly fine. Everything would have just wrapped up nicely. But I get it. There was more to add to the Star Wars universe. It's pretty awesome. And I'll admit, I love what A New Hope created, but I'm just indifferent to how it's written. I think that there are some great action sequences, some great characters, but it's really hokily written, hokily acted. It's really not that... It hasn't aged very well, in my opinion. But I think there are still reasons to watch it. Now, I would say watch A New Hope if you haven't already, but I mean, how are you living in this day and age and haven't at least seen a little bit of A New Hope? It's just... it's okay. Now, let's talk about the prequels. I'm kind of going to clump them all together because I have my various different opinions. Okay, I'm going to say it right up front. I think that A Phantom Menace is actually better than A New Hope and Return of the Jedi. I know that's weird to say, and I'm gonna get like impaled for saying that. But if you actually watched Phantom Menace recently, let's talk about the pros. We'll talk about the cons. Don't get me wrong. There are tons of cons. Okay, maybe not better than A New Hope, but it's definitely better than Return of the Jedi. I'll tell you that much. That movie has not aged well at all. But okay, maybe it's not as better than A New Hope. Maybe I'll make a list. I'll devise a list of all my favorite Star Wars movies in whatever order they come in whatever order I say I put them in. But Phantom Menace. Let's talk about the pros. Obviously, Darth Maul. He's just so cool. He just does all this cool shit. Fucking all the lightsaber stuff. The CGI, I think, is really impressive. Even in the worst areas, the CGI always looks good. Like Jar Jar Binks. I'm gonna say it. Jar Jar Binks is annoying. But at the very least, I can look at his CGI and say, yeah, I think that that's really there. I know it's not, but I could totally... If you told me that Jar Jar Binks was really there, I'd believe you. Because... it really does look like he's there. But, I know what CGI is and all that, so I know he's not really there. But I think that all the CGI is really impressive. Pod racing. God damn, pod racing was so good. Let's see. Lightsaber battles, pod racing. I think that some of the writing's bad. I also think some of the writing's really good. Now, yes, all the kid stuff with Anakin is so... But if you really compare it to A New Hope's writing, is A New Hope really that much better? I mean... let's think about this. In the Death Star battle, Luke is just flying through the trenches, and then just randomly Obi-Wan decides, you know what, this is the perfect time to tell Luke to use the Force. It's like, use the Force, Luke. Wait, what was that? Crashes right into a fucking wall. That would have been hilarious. That needs to be in the next special edition. Luke just looks up and is like, what the hell? Crashes straight into a wall. Oh, that'd be fucking great. No, but I'm not... I mean, some of the lines are just really awkward, and some of them are really too fast. Like, some of the lines between Leia and Darth Vader at the very beginning, she clearly just wants to get out of that scene as much as possible. She's like, the rebels will never ever tell you what's going on. It's like, sorry, could you slow down a little bit, Leia? I need to actually hear you. I have no idea what you're talking about. She just talks so weirdly fast. But she doesn't do that for the rest of the movie, so... Okay, so Phantom Menace, I think, has a lot of problems. Yes, Jar Jar Binks is one of them. The writing can get really horrible. The action sequence, I think the action is really great. I think that it's a very pretty film to look at. It's a lot of fun to watch purely the action. You know what? I almost think The Phantom Menace would be a much better movie just, like, if someone needs to go out there, splice all the action scenes together, and just watch it and just watch through all the action scenes. The pod racing, the fucking, all the lightsaber battles are so good. The spaceship battles, them escaping from the Separatists, even the Gungan battle was cool. Gungans are annoying, but at least it was cool. Okay, that guy was really just weird, but okay. Phantom Menace, I think, is still better than Return of the Jedi, but it's still not that great of a film, but I think it's worth watching. Really, come on, guys, really rewatch it and say, is this really as bad? I mean, I guess it's not as good as the other Star Wars films, but is it really that bad? Most people think that The Phantom Menace is so horrible, they overreact to it. But yes, there are many reasons to hate it. If you rewatch The Phantom Menace right now and still say that it's a bad movie, I can totally understand that. Let's talk about Attack of the Clones. In my opinion, the worst of the prequels, and I think the worst Star Wars movie, period. I don't like Return of the Jedi, but I like Attack of the Clones a lot worse. Oh god, the writing. The writing here. If you thought the writing of Phantom Menace was bad, the writing in Attack of the Clones is way, way worse. Okay, for some reason, I love the CGI in Phantom Menace, but it seems just really not there. Like, all the stuff in the arena. That cat creature that's like trying to climb up the wall that slash Padme. It's cool looking, but it's so fake looking. It's like Leia, you know you could probably, or not Leia, Padme. You know you could probably just fall and you just phase right through it. That's how fake it looks. All the CGI doesn't look real. Besides the clone troopers, who are the only pieces of CGI that actually look acceptably good. For some reason, besides the Yoda stuff, which I'll admit is pretty awesome, the lightsaber battles are just all blah. We've all seen them before. Like, everyone was blown away by how impressive the lightsaber battles looked in Phantom Menace. And really watching it, I mean, Attack of the Clones just does a lot of repeats. It's not really as impressive. I mean, okay, Count Dooku being able to fend off 2 Jedis at the same time with 1 lightsaber is pretty cool looking. Darth Maul's was just cooler for some reason. The fact that he had that double-bladed lightsaber was so fucking awesome. Why has that never come back? Besides, like, the TV show spin-offs of Star Wars, that double-bladed lightsaber never really came back in any of the movies, which is depressing to me. It's because everyone hates Phantom Menace so much they don't want to bring it back. Attack of the Clones, I just think, is really badly written. I mean, it introduced Jango Fett, and oh my god, we got to see Boba Fett as a kid. Okay, if you want to see Boba Fett as a kid, I don't know why you would, but if you want to, read the prequels Boba Fett books. I don't remember exactly what they're called, but I mean, I have them. Maybe I'll just show them off in a video one day. But they're like these great books where you get to see Boba Fett as a kid, and he's not whiny, he's not annoying. You actually get to see what it was like on Kamino. It just establishes way more in the Star Wars universe. So watch those if you haven't, or read those if you haven't already seen them. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Attack of the Clones, and I think all the Anakin stuff really fucking sucks. Let's talk about Revenge of the Sith. In my opinion, one of the best Star Wars movies ever made, and it is better than Return of the Jedi. It's better than A New Hope. I think it's even better than Force Awakens. Okay, maybe that's not true. Maybe it's a little bit under that. But I think it's still one of the best Star Wars movies ever made. I think that Anakin's transition... Everyone makes jokes that Anakin's transition is really forced. And to be fair, it kind of is. But let's be honest. If your family was murdered by a bunch of Tusken Raiders when you were... If your family basically lived in slavery, your family was then murdered by a bunch of Tusken Raiders... Then you were constantly treated like you were a little kid all the time. I don't know. All these things stack up. Everyone's like, oh, she just goes from being good to being evil. I'm like, there were a bunch of stuff that would kind of mess me up too. Mainly my mother dying in front of my eyes. I think that's the main thing that would probably turn me into a supervillain. And the fact that he constantly keeps getting treated. And okay, I think that Attack of the Clones CGI looked really fake. But I think Revenge of the Sith, they're like, okay, Attack of the Clones sucked. Let's make it good. Let's finally do something. And they made the CGI, I think, looks really, really good. The space, oh my god, the opening with the space battle, amazing. The fight with Count Dooku, fucking awesome. The fact that Anakin's just like, you know what? Fuck you, Count Dooku. I fought you in the last movie. Chops his head right off. Kills him instantly. It's fucking awesome. I actually really like the opening scene. Just everything about it was just really well composed and well made. I think the writing is a lot better. Everything's more believable. When Obi-Wan's fighting Grievous, it doesn't sound like awkward or forced like in Attack of the Clones or Phantom Menace. No, their dialogue sounds really natural. Like, it actually sounds like they're trying to intimidate each other. Which, to be fair, if you were fighting someone in a lightsaber battle, you'd probably do the same thing. Say a bunch of stuff that's trying to make them scared of you. And they just... It really works. I think a lot of the action really works. I think a lot of the writing's a lot better than in New Hope, better than Return of the Jedi, better than Phantom Menace, better than Attack of the Clones. I think the writing's really good here. I think Anakin's transition is also really impressive. If anything, it It works. I mean, exactly. It's the same way that Luke should have turned into a Sith, because he does all these things happen to him. He does all these things that are so evil. But in this case, they take all. It's like they did all the missed potential of Return of the Jedi was expanded upon and actually made into a movie in the form of Revenge of the Sith. And even the goofies, I'll admit, there are plenty of goofy scenes. There's the whole, like, power, which is really, it is really so awkward and not, but even then, even in that scene, there are so many pros, too, with the fucking lightsaber battle with Mace Windu. The fact that fucking, you finally get to see the Emperor, and he just pops out his lightsaber, and he's just like, alright, fine, I guess it's come down to this wire, and just fucking kills 4 Jedis. That's so cool! And I just really like it. And then Anakin shows up and he's just like, that's the moment. I think that him killing Count Dooku was driving him to the edge. Many people say different moments when he finally went over the edge. No. I think it was with him choosing to kill Mace Windu rather than the Emperor. That's the moment when he really became Darth Vader. Right then and there. Not with his costume, no. It was there that he became Darth Vader. And even the final battle on Mustafar, yeah, the goofy shit with the no, even then, that scene's still kind of cool. If it wasn't for the no part, that scene would actually be pretty awesome. When he's like, where is Padme? It's like, she's dead. It's like, and he busts out and just fucking crushes everything. And if it wasn't for the no, if he just stood there silently and just popped out his lightsaber or some shit and just sliced a droid's head off and then just walked out, would have been so much cooler. It's silent, it's emotional, you really feel it, you feel his pain. The problem is they added that nose screech and him just standing there. I'm like, really? Luckily Rogue One made him really badass again, where he just, oh my god, that shit in Rogue One, where he just chops a guy's head off as he's like blocking bullets with his hands, just throws the lightsaber in front of him and just spins it around with the Force, launches it into a guy as he picks up another guy and just throws him to the ceiling and just crushes his guts. And then the other guy who's trying to close the door and pass them the plans, like, go, 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 go. And then he gets stabbed through the door. It was so fucking cool. He just Force chokes the bitch and just instantly crushes his windpipe. It's amazing. But yeah, they really made up for the fact that Darth Vader was, it's like, wait, we have another opportunity to use Darth Vader? Well, let's do the opposite of what Revenge of the Sith did and make this motherfucker a badass again. And that's what they did. And I think Revenge of the Sith, yes, the whole no thing is really stupid, but the other stuff in the scene, if it was just a silent scene, it was just, if right after he said she's dead, everything just went silent, you just silently see him crushing all the things around him out of anger, and then he just closed his fist and just leaves to become the Darth Vader that we know and love, would have been a lot more powerful, I'll admit. And as I said, I don't think Revenge of the Sith is like a perfect film. Far from it. It has a lot of problems. Power! No! There are really some hokey writing moments, but I think they introduce a lot of cool stuff. General Grievous is really awesome. In fact, I watched some of the deleted scenes, and the scene where that one Jedi gets killed would have actually been pretty cool if they kept it in the film. I don't know why they removed it. I think they just removed it because it felt kind of unnecessary. It was just unnecessarily dark and didn't really add anything to the story. I don't know, it just is some character development for Grievous, because you're trying to throw Joe Grievous as this heartless cyborg who wants to kill everybody. I think that keeping in a scene of him straight up murdering a Jedi and adding the lightsaber to his collection is a lot more intimidating than him just saying, I've added all these lightsabers to my collection. They should have actually removed the scene where he says, I've added all these lightsabers I've gotten from Jedis I've killed, and replaced it with that scene where he kills a Jedi and steals their lightsaber. It would have just been a lot more cool. And those are my thoughts. And here is probably my top 10 list of my favorite Star Wars films. Starting from the worst to the best. Let's see, there's about 8 Star Wars films. Let's start from the worst. I think that Attack of the Clones is the worst Star Wars film. I think that Return of the Jedi follows suit. And then we have Phantom Menace. And then, no, it's kind of hard. Phantom Menace, New Hope, getting lost making my own list. Attack of the Clones, Return of the Jedi. You might be here a while. Just skip to the part where I actually show all 10 fingers. I keep getting myself distracted. Attack of the Clones, Return of the Jedi, Phantom Menace, New Hope, Revenge of the Sith, Rogue One, Empire Strikes Back. No. Force Awakens, Rogue One, Empire Strikes Back. Boom, there we go. My top 8 films. Now you can skip to this point and you can watch where I made up my mind. Those are my top 8 Star Wars films, in that order. And I really, and starting from the worst to the best. I will still admit, I think that Empire Strikes Back is probably still my favorite Star Wars movie. Even if Rogue One's really good. It's tough. I don't know. Maybe I might change this. This list is completely superfluous. You could probably just skip to the end of the video if you wanted to. Man, I am on a 20-minute video just talking about my thoughts on the Star Wars movies. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I mean, a list of them doesn't really matter. What matters is the bulk of this video, which is just me talking about what I think. And the fact that I think The Phantom Menace isn't really that bad. Attack of the Clones is the worst. Return of the Jedi is one of the worst. A New Hope is not as good as everyone says it is. Empire Strikes Back is amazing. I think Rogue One's really great. I think The Force Awakens is really great. I think that Revenge of the Sith is still should be up there because it's pretty awesome. And that is it. See you guys next time.